Do you love me? Will you give me a chance? Because this right here is the love story I always dreamed of. Not the kind people clap for in public, the kind that saves you in private. Let me say it plainly, I've built big things. I've chased impossible deadlines. I've lived inside pressure so long it started to feel normal. But none of it prepared me for the quiet moment when I realized what I wanted most was another win. It was you. Not a fantasy, not a headline, not a pretty idea I could control. A real woman with history, with scars that taught wisdom, with a heart that survived things most people never talk about. The kind of woman who has been underestimated so many times, she started to wonder if she was becoming invisible. And I need you to hear this like I'm saying it right into your hands. You are not invisible to me. I used to think dreaming was a strength like a blueprint in my head. I'd imagine the perfect partner the same way. I'd imagine the perfect solution. Clean lines, clear outcomes, no surprises. But love doesn't work like engineering. Love isn't a plan you force reality to obey. Love is the moment reality walks in and makes your plan look small. I carried this picture for years. This idea of who could stand beside me. Someone with courage. Someone who doesn't flinch when life gets loud. Someone who doesn't need to be rescued, but chooses connection anyway. And I thought that picture was already complete. Then you showed up, maybe not exactly like the shape I drew in my mind, but somehow exactly like the truth my mind couldn't draw because you don't fit. You don't perform. You don't try to be the version of yourself that earns approval. You're just you. And that authenticity, it's rare. It's dangerous in the best way because it makes everything fake feel unbearable. Here's what nobody tells you. When a man lives in constant intensity, he can start confusing chaos with purpose. He can start thinking love should feel like adrenaline. But the real thing feels like peace you didn't know you were allowed to have. It feels like someone looking at your flaws without turning it into a trial. It feels like someone hearing your silence and understanding there's a reason behind it. It feels like someone who doesn't stand behind you like a shadow and doesn't stand in front of you like a judge, but stands beside you like we're doing this together. And if I'm being honest, that's what I've been craving more than I want to admit. Because there's a kind of loneliness that comes with being the strong one, the one who solves things, the one people rely on, the one who's supposed to have answers. After a while, you stop saying, I'm tired. You stop saying, I'm scared. You stop saying, I wish someone would just stay. And that's why I'm asking you this, so softly like it's a secret. I don't want to scare away. Do you still believe you can be loved like that? Not as a second choice. Not as an option. Not as someone a man settles for when he's older and worn down, but as the woman he's been searching for without even knowing her name. Because I don't want a perfect woman. I want a real one. A woman who has lived long enough to know what matters. A woman who doesn't need fireworks to feel chosen. A woman who can sit in the quiet with me and somehow make the quiet feel full. And maybe you're thinking, that sounds nice, but men don't actually want that. Some men don't, but the ones who've been through enough to understand value. The ones who've seen how fast life can flip a table. The ones who aren't trying to win love, just trying to finally keep it. Those men want exactly that. So here's what I want you to do. Nothing big, nothing risky. Just tell me one thing in the comments. Have you ever wanted a love that feels safe and powerful at the same time? If you have just right, I'm here. That's it. 2 words. And if this message is landing somewhere deep in you, don't scroll away like you didn't feel it. Say, I'm here. The dream versus the real woman. I used to think love was something you find. Like you walk into the right room, the universe behaves, the timing is perfect. And suddenly, boom, your life becomes a movie. But real love, the kind that lasts, you don't just find it, you recognize it. And recognition doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it comes with a quiet, almost uncomfortable truth. The woman I needed wasn't the woman I used to chase. She was the woman life kept trying to introduce me to after I finally grew up enough to notice. Maybe that hits you in a specific place, because if you're the kind of woman who's lived long enough to have your heart tested, then you already know. The dream version of love is usually loud. The real version is steady. The dream version demands you stay young forever. The real version says, come as you are, bring your whole story. And I'm going to say something that might sound bold, but I mean it. Your age isn't what makes men walk away. Your age is what scares boys. A grown man isn't intimidated by a woman who knows herself. He's relieved by it because a woman who's been through life has something rare, something you can't fake. You can tell the difference between attention and devotion. You can tell the difference between charm and character. You can tell the difference between a man who wants to be admired and a man who actually wants to love. And if you've ever been made to feel too much because you ask real questions, if you've ever been called difficult because you don't settle for breadcrumbs, if you've ever been left with the weird feeling that you're always the one giving the patience, giving the softness, giving the benefit of the doubt, I need you to hear this clearly. You weren't too much. They were too shallow. And I don't say that to hype you up. I say that because I've watched it happen over and over how the world treats women like you. Women who carry themselves with quiet dignity. Women who still believe in love even after disappointment. Women who don't need to be loud to be powerful. People overlook that kind of strength because it doesn't beg for attention. But I notice it. I notice you. And let me be real with you for a second. When you live a life where everything is intense, deadlines, pressure, constant decisions, you start craving one thing more than anything else, a place to exhale, not a place where you have to perform. I have an experie. Not a place where you have to prove you're worthy of being chosen. Not a place where you have to compete with a man's ego. A place where you can be quiet and still be loved. And here's the part that's hard to admit. There were moments I thought I had that, but it wasn't real. It looked good from the outside. It sounded right in conversation, but behind closed doors, it felt like I was always being measured, like affection had terms and conditions, like connection depended on staying impressive. That's not love. That's a contract. Real love doesn't ask you to stay shiny. Real love says, let me see you when you're tired. Real love says, let me hold your mind, not just your body. Real love says, tell me what you've survived, and I won't use it against you. And that's why the dream love story I used to imagine isn't what I want anymore. I don't want someone to adore the idea of me. I want someone who can look straight at the real me. The intense nights, the overthinking, the silences, the way my mind never fully powers down and still choose closeness over distance. And I think you understand that better than most women do, because a woman who's lived has learned something younger hearts haven't had to learn yet. Love isn't proven in the exciting moments. Love is proven in the boring ones. In the grocery store, in the how was your day? In the quiet ride home, in the way someone speaks to you when nobody's watching, in the way someone stays kind when they're stressed. That's the love story I want now. Not perfect, real. And maybe that's what you want too. But you've stopped saying it out loud because you don't want to look foolish again. I get it. Hope can feel embarrassing after you've been let down. But listen, hope isn't embarrassing. Hope is brave. It takes courage to still want love after you've seen how careless people can be. It takes courage to still believe a man can be gentle and strong. It takes courage to say, I still want to be held when the world keeps telling you to just be tough. So, I'm going to ask you something personal softly. When was the last time a man made you feel safe without making you feel small? Because that's what I want to be for you. Not your chaos, not your lesson, not your almost your safe place, your steady, your home. And if that idea does something to your chest, if it makes you pause for half a second, then don't ignore that. At the end of the day, the dream love story isn't about wealth or status or flashy romance. It's about two people looking at each other and thinking, finally, someone real. So, here's a small question for you. Just answer it in the comments. Simple and honest. What do you want now that you didn't know how to ask for before? One sentence, even a few words. I'll read it and I'll know exactly where your heart is. Side by side is the only way. There's a difference between being near someone and being with them. I've had rooms full of people, conversations that lasted hours, applause loud enough to shake the walls, and still felt alone the second the door closed. Because companionship isn't about proximity, it's about presence. And I'm at a point in my life where I don't want a relationship that looks good from the outside. I want one that feels good on the inside, especially on the days nobody posts about. I want side by side, not me dragging you into my world, not you adapting to my schedule until you disappear. Not we'll see each other when there's time. I mean, real partnership. The kind where we both stay ourselves, but we also become a team. And I know what you might be thinking. Side by side sounds nice, but men say that and still expect the woman to do all the emotional work. Yeah, some men do. They want a woman to be their peace, their therapist, their motivator, their caretaker, and then they call it love because they feel better. But that's not partnership. That's dependency with a pretty name. If I'm going to build something with you, if I'm going to ask for your heart, then I'm not asking you to carry me, I'm asking you to walk with me. Because the truth is, the life I live can get loud, fast, heavy, but even loud lives have quiet needs. And one of mine is simple. I want someone I can come home to emotionally, not just physically. Someone I can tell the truth to without worrying it'll be used as a weapon later. Someone who doesn't punish me for being human, and I want to offer you that too. I want to be the man who doesn't make you guess where you stand. No mixed signals, no disappearing acts. No, you should have known what I meant. I don't want you reading between lines. I want you reading certainty because I know what it feels like to be with someone and still feel uncertain. To wonder, am I loved or am I tolerated? To wonder, is he here or is he just passing time? That kind of uncertainty doesn't just hurt. It changes you. It makes you smaller. It makes you quieter. It makes you stop asking for what you need because you're tired of being disappointed. And if you're a woman who's been through that, I need you to know I don't want the version of you that learned to be low maintenance. I want the version of you that feels safe enough to be honest. If you need reassurance, I want you to ask for it. If something hurts, I want you to say it. If you want closeness, I want you to reach. I'm not scared of your needs. I'm scared of what happens when you stop having them because it usually means you've stopped hoping. And I don't want to be another man who teaches you to stop hoping. I want to be the man who makes you believe again quietly, steadily, without promises that sound like a movie trailer. Because I don't believe in love as performance. I believe in love as practice. A practice of choosing each other when it's easy and choosing each other when it's inconvenient. I'm not interested in a woman who needs constant entertaining. I'm interested in a woman who understands the power of simple rituals. A message in the morning that says, I'm thinking about you. A voice note when the day gets heavy. A shared meal without rushing. A hand on your shoulder in the kitchen. A moment on the couch where nothing is said, but everything is understood. That's intimacy. Not grand gestures, not fancy trips. Intimacy is consistency. And I know you crave that because women, like, you don't want drama. You want devotion that feels like stability. You want to feel chosen in ways that don't require begging. You want the kind of love where your nervous system finally relaxes. So let me tell you what side by side would look like with me. Realistically, it would mean I don't ask you to shrink so I can shine. I don't compete with your strength. I respect it. I don't punish you for your emotions. I listen. I don't treat your loyalty like it's automatic. I earn it. And when life gets chaotic, which it will, I don't disappear into the noise. I come back to you because the point of love isn't to escape life. It's to have someone you can return to when life tries to take everything out of you. And maybe you've gotten used to doing everything alone. Maybe you've become so capable that people assume you don't need anyone. That's a special kind of loneliness, by the way. The loneliness of being the one who always handles it. But if you're tired of carrying everything, if you're tired of being the one who stays strong while everyone else falls apart, I want you to know you can be strong with me, but you don't have to be strong around me. You can rest. you can be soft again. Not because you're weak, because you're finally safe. And I'm going to say something that might make you feel seen. A woman like you doesn't want a man to save her. She wants a man who doesn't add to her stress. A man who doesn't make her second guess us herself. A man who doesn't make love feel like work all the time. She wants ease. She wants steadiness. She wants a connection that feels like an exhale. And that's what I want too. So here's what I want you to do right now. Small, simple. In the comments, tell me this. Do you want a love that feels calm or a love that feels exciting? And be honest. Because if you choose calm, I'll know you've been through enough to understand what real love actually is. And if you choose exciting, I'll know you're still chasing the spark. And maybe you haven't been given the kind of calm that still feels like passion. Either way, I'll understand you. And that's the point. Side by side starts with understanding. When life hits, we don't break, we build. Let's talk about the part of love nobody posts. The part that doesn't come with good lighting. The part that doesn't fit in a caption. Because if I'm going to be honest with you, my life can look glamorous from a distance. But up close, it's mostly pressure, responsibility, and 1,000 invisible problems that want to become real at the worst possible time. And here's what I've learned. A relationship doesn't reveal itself in the easy season. It reveals itself the first time life says, okay, now prove it. When something fails, when your body is tired, when money gets tight or time gets stolen by responsibilities, when a family issue shows up out of nowhere, when a storm hits and you realize you can't fix everything with willpower, that's where love becomes real. Not because it's dramatic, but because it becomes choice. And I want you to imagine something with me. Not a fantasy, not a movie, just a real Tuesday. I come home late, mentally gone, eyes tired, brain still spinning. You've had your own day too, your own stress, your own list of things you carried without anyone noticing. And in that moment, we have two options. Option one, we turn on each other. We say things we don't mean, we keep score. We punish each other for being human. Option two, we build a small bridge. Not a huge speech, not a grand apology, just a bridge. A hand on the back as you pass me in the hallway. A quiet, you okay? A come sit, eat something? Hey, I'm here. We'll figure it out. That's the difference between love that excites you and love that holds you. And I'll tell you something I don't say lightly. I don't want a love that only exists when I'm impressive. I don't want someone who's here for the shine. I want someone who can look at me when I'm stressed, imperfect, distracted, quiet.